Second reading.
This bill is set down for committee stage next sitting day. Call on Government Order of the Day number 2.
Smoke-free Environments, Controls and Enforcement Amendment Bill, committee stage.
Rauhui Katani.
Point of order. I move that it be an instruction to the Committee of the Whole House on the Smoke-Free Environments, Controls and Enforcement Amendment Bill that it have the authority to consider and, if it thinks fit, adopt the amendments in my name relating to the registration of tobacco sellers. The reason that I'm moving this point of order today is very simple. The Māori Party is absolutely committed to a smoke-free Aotearoa. We are committed to saving lives. We're committed to a healthy, smoke-free environment. And so we are determined that we will leave no stone unturned in our pursuit of comprehensive and effective solutions to create a smoke-free nation. In January 2010, the New Zealand Medical Journal stated that the scale of harm from tobacco use in New Zealand has not been matched by appropriate government action to advance tobacco control. George Thompson, Nick Wilson and Richard Edwards from the Department of Public Health, University of Otago, laid down the challenge fair and square, and I quote, "New Zealand political parties now need to engage with the idea of the end of commercial tobacco sales in a finite and predictable timetable rather than using small steps to control the tobacco epidemic. This point of order is to ensure that our pathway towards becoming smoke-free takes every contingency into account. And so we want to broaden the debate today to enable registration to be mandatory and a condition of selling tobacco. The problem that my amendment seeks to address is that currently there is not a central list of tobacco retailers, and as a consequence, all national estimates for the number of retailers vary widely. In a letter I've seen today from Professor Richard Edwards, Dr. George Hampson, Professor Chris Cunningham, Dr. Heather Gifford, Professor Janet Hoyk and Stephanie Eric, there is a clear message that with tobacco displays moved out of sight, there will be difficulties in identifying tobacco retailers. And so their letter makes a very clear statement, which again I cite for the record, quote, "We see such a register as the minimum system necessary to enable health enforcement officers to effectively and efficiently do their job of working with retailers. Furthermore, such a register would help to keep track of the growing move by tobacco companies to market tobacco products through temporary outlets at festivals and other events. I want to make it explicitly clear we are tremendously proud of the profile that the Māori Party, and in particular Tariana Turia, in her capacity as the Associate Minister of Health, have been able to achieve in the area of tobacco control. The ongoing tobacco tax increases have triggered...
Order. The member must... This is a narrow instruction to the House. You can't get into the debate on its merits. Just state the facts. You cannot... It's a very narrow instruction that you're asking the House to consider. So just confine your comments to that.
Thank you. Our amendment today is in many respects to supplement and strengthen the rapid progress that Tariana has been able to achieve in tobacco control in general, and in this bill in specific. This is groundbreaking legislation to phase out tobacco retail displays out of sight, out of mind. But of course there is the catch-22 dilemma that removing tobacco retail displays...
Point of order, the Honourable Steve Chadwick.
This doesn't appear to be a point of order, it's rather more a speech.
No, well, it's not a point of order, but the member has the right to move, which she has done. She can also debate it. This is a debatable motion, and she has moved that, and she's speaking, and she has 10 minutes in which to speak. It's not a point of order. That's that her comment earlier on was not correct. But I've accepted that, and she's moving a motion. She's asking for an instruction of the whole House to the committee, and the member has 6 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is, of course, the catch-22 dilemma that removing tobacco retail displays might lead to out of sight, out of scrutiny. A mandatory register of all tobacco retailers is a perfect response to the declared need expressed by many health enforcement officers to keep track of retailers with complete and current data. We understand that ASH, the Action on Smoking and Health, is in full support of this amendment. There are 4 strong reasons underlying their support. 1, a register is cost-effective.
Order. The member is getting into the debate now of what, as I mentioned earlier, this is a very narrow. You're asking the House to accept your amendments to go into committee. They can read what your amendments are because they've been tabled. So this debate is a very narrow debate asking permission of the House by way of an instruction to go into committee. You cannot get into the debate of what the contents of the amendments are. They're tabled for members to have a look at. So I'll just come back to the instruction that you're asking.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm not somebody who randomly stands in this House putting forward points of order and moving for debates to pass the time of day. In fact, in my entire parliamentary career to date, I think one would be hard-pressed to find more than a couple of times when I've actually stood to do something like this. But I've taken this action today because the Māori Party is so committed to saving lives, to doing something about the 5,000 people this country loses every year under the assault of tobacco harm. We truly believe that this measure is needed now and that this register will significantly enhance the efficiency and implementation of the entire smoke-free environment and amendment bill and should be debated now. And in closing, I return to the submission I quoted earlier, which stated that it is highly anomalous that anyone can set up as a retailer of tobacco products given their highly hazardous and addictive nature and in light of the continued evidence of widespread availability to children. This motion and the amendment that it relates to addresses this deficiency by requiring that at least health officials know who is selling tobacco through a register of tobacco retailers, and I implore the House to at least give consideration to debating this at this committee stage.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I'd rise to take a brief call